Hello, Pat. Thank you for joining me for this little chat. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about you and your business. So can I start and ask you a simple question? First, just tell me about your business. What did you actually do?
What I do is I work with people who own their own businesses, and I set out to help them to have better lives by having better businesses. What I basically mean by that is I sit down with them, I listen to them, and I ask questions from the perspective of a qualified TAB facilitator and business coach, so that we unwrap where they are in their lives and help them to develop a vision for where they want to go. And we work with them so that their business powers them to where it is they want to be in their lives, whatever that might be.
How did you get into this, or why did you get into this business? What attracted you to this? Well, what did you do previously?
Well, before this, I was involved in the telecommunications industry for 30 years. So
wow.
I went on the journey from nobody knew what a mobile phone was because they hadn't really been invented yet, to ubiquity of mobile phones and now having a very powerful computer in our pockets. So I went on that journey with Ericsson for 22 years and other companies, and I worked all over the world in that space. I wanted to work on my own, doing something worthwhile with my life. My kids had been practically reared, and I wanted to do something I really enjoyed doing.
So your main focus then is helping your clients take themselves forward and take their businesses forward. And what does your typical client look like?
Well, what I'm looking for are people who own their own businesses, who are working to build something which enables them to have a certain life, parameters of life, including financial, but other things as well. Yeah. And people who are looking for someone to help them to make their time more effective, but also get them clear about where it is they want to go, both in their personal lives potentially, but primarily focused on the business. Where does the business need to be so that they can tick all the boxes for what their vision is for their personal lives? And that sounds kind of broad-based, but essentially a typical customer looks somebody who's got a business, maybe they've grown it to a certain stage, and they're now saying, how do I take it to the next stage? So they might have got it from start to maybe having 10 employees or 15 employees or 20 employees, or maybe they're inheriting a business and they're trying to figure out, well, how do I make this business that somebody else has built work for me?
Would it be fair to say that they're looking for a lifestyle change as well, i.e. more space in their lives, more time in their lives? Because often I know that when I used to work in a not dissimilar area, a lot of people just wanted more time.
Yeah, that comes up again and again. But actually, the wonderful thing about it is people come with all kinds of visions for where they want to go. Time, it's obvious that time is a major constraint for a lot of people. When people sit with me, they're working on their business. They're not working in their business.
Yeah.
I have to elevate them up so they get a perspective on that, and they get to think about it and say, right, so where are we really going with this? I'm killing myself. I'm doing, some of these guys are doing phenomenal hours, 80, 90-hour weeks, and they really are putting in 2 days per day of work sometimes just to get through the heave and the push of their businesses. And it's a tremendous privilege that these people will take the time out and work with me to sort of pull that back to get them to where they need.
What is the value that you create for these clients?
Well, the first thing they say to me is, thank God I have somebody I can talk to about this stuff. The core value, I guess, is to help them to see the people around them and to see the resources around them in a new way, and start to put themselves in the picture in a way that works for them. They know where they want to go. They know, generally speaking, what they have, but they don't necessarily have the plan to get the best out of what they have to get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
That can be a multitude of solutions, right? It could be people-oriented stuff. It could be strategic stuff. It could be all kinds of different blends of that. And you put in, generational change in ownership of a business. Only 30% of businesses succeed in handing a business over from one generation of a family to the next generation of a family, for example. There's a whole bunch of complexity. And when you work in this, and I know you know this yourself, it's abundantly clear why that is so, because it's really about the people, as you say, and it's about the ability to transition and buy into a common vision for where the business needs to go across generations. That's a tough one.
How do you use these in a practical way to create that value, to achieve those things that you're trying to do with your clients?
I've been working with this tool of yours now for 6 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And in my corporate career of 30 years, I worked with these types of tools before. So I've been familiar with them, and I'd actually worked with them and done workshops and, coached them. But it's really since the last 6 years since I started working with you, including the training at the beginning, it really got my head around being a proper practitioner. I'm now a qualified, certified practitioner. And that certainly raised my game with how to use the tools, okay? The basic report I typically use would be your standard DISC and driving forces report, although I've always had recourse to the other reports as I needed. The EQ is a very powerful report, and there are other reports that I find very powerful in a coaching context. So the bottom line for me is that start of the journey. The first step on the journey is getting the business owner to understand or to get a sense of what it is they're about, what it is their personal vision is, what it is they're reaching to achieve, what it is going on, what might be blocking them from achieving it. Those initial conversations, that tool is very powerful with them as individuals, right? So that's a key starting point in the coaching relationship. But as I get through that, then they start to look at the people around them. Then they get curious and they say, okay, I'm trying to understand Mary over here or John over here. Then we introduce the tools and they say, yeah, God, yeah, I'd like to see what they look like through this prism. And we then start to unfold and unwrap what is going on with the management team around them. And it's amazing the stuff we dig up with these tools, because it gets me involved in actually a feedback session with these individuals. I get to know the individuals through this tool as well as through the business owner. And we start to build up a picture of what's going on with the management team, which generally enables me to provide that second tier. And I have a staircase of offerings for my customers. I start at the bottom with the coaching only engagement. Then I actually bring them to a board level engagement. That type of engagement involves a three-hour meeting once a month with other business owners. So you get to see where these guys are coming from and learn from their issues. And we process issues every month. You go in and I run this, but obviously they bring their issue to the table and get it processed. And then as I step it up another level, I may have monthly engagements with management teams where we actually drive them forward toward that vision or toward the goal of where they're trying to get to. So that's another step up in terms of what it is. And the commercial proposition for these guys is typically, for a small fraction of what the average industrial wage would be, they get to have me having an impact with them and with their businesses on a monthly basis. And the commercials of that stack up. So that's my business. That's what I do. That's how I make a living. And that's how I went from being a corporate guy to being this guy. And you've helped me to do that. So I'm very grateful to you for that.
Well, you're more than welcome. And I've always enjoyed working with you, Pat. And I really, really, really appreciate you taking the time to give me a few minutes and explain what you do, how you do it, the value that it brings to your clients, and the role that TTI plays in helping you do that. It's interesting, in my own background, this, that I moved from strategy, from hard business into strategy. And it took me a long, long time to realize the old cliche, this culture eats strategy for breakfast. And to really realize that if you move the people, you move the needle. And I often ask the question, which would you rather, an A team and a B strategy, or a B team and an A strategy? Well, the answer is obvious, the A team, because they'll write an A strategy and the B team will never implement an A strategy. It really is about the people. And particularly, I think, in the SME sector, it is really about, because you're not big enough to have all this professional structure around you. You really, really do have to get the right people around you, and indeed have experts like yourself and an organization like TAB supporting them, giving them access to a virtual board and to peers and getting feedback. And as you say, having the sounding board and bringing new sciences, new technologies to them to help them better understand themselves and their businesses.
No, yours is a technology. I mean, this TTI technology is accessible, and it's easy to communicate to people. Yeah. So I find that particularly the DISC model, people get more easily than the driving force model. But I've given hundreds of your reports now, right? And it works. It really does drive value in businesses, and I do that. I help businesses unlock that value, so I can recommend it without hesitation.